Rawr, rawr, rawr.
Vietnam, 1940. The Vietnam War has begun. Vietnam is now in a state of war with two major powers clashing, the North and the South. Leading the North is Ho Chi Minh. Ho Chi Minh, Vietnam's vicious dictator who ruled his country for more than 25 years.
Inspired by the Bolsheviks party, he brought communism to Vietnam.
Ho Chi Minh was born in a village in central Vietnam on May 19, 1890. He worked several years as a French cook on a French steamer. He moved to France in 1919, where he organized a group of Vietnamese immigrants and petitioned at the Treaty of Versailles. It is demanded that the French government in Indochina granted equal rights to its subjects as it did to its rulers. This brought no response, but it did make him a hero to many. The following year, the Communist Revolution in Russia succeeded. This inspired Ho to join the French Communist Party.
He then moved to Moscow and recruited Vietnamese nationalists who would form the basis of the Indo-Chinese Communist Party. When Germany defeated France in 1940, Ho saw it as an opportunity. He returned to Vietnam in 1941 to organize the Viet Minh, the League of Independence for Vietnam. He then sought help from China, but was imprisoned for 18 months by their anti-communist government.
哎，你是共产吗？你要被打吗？我打你啊！打你！作业，数学作业。
When the Allies won in 1945, Japanese forces withdrew from Vietnam, leaving a French-educated emperor, Bao Dai, in control.
The Viet Minh forces seized the city of Hanoi and declared the Democratic State of Vietnam, known as North Vietnam, with Ho as leader. Bao Dai was in favor of this revolution. However, the French military gained control of South Vietnam. Ho attempted to negotiate and maintain peace, but failed and war broke out. This war went on for 8 years. When the French finally agreed to the peace talks of Geneva, Vietnam split into the Communist North and the non-Communist South.
Hello everyone, welcome to History 101 with Jackie. This show is sponsored by the Toronto Raptors. Today we'll be talking about Vietnam's dictator, Ho Chi Minh. Now I have a special guest, Felix Yang.
It's a pleasure to be here, Jackie.
So, Mr. Yang, how long have you been studying this topic of Ho Chi Minh?
I've been studying Ho Chi Minh for about 15 years now.
Really?
Yes.
You do not look like someone very smart. Are you sure you just didn't spend 15 minutes on Wikipedia?
No, 15 years, obviously a very long time. I've made some original research and I've used a lot of credible sources.
So let's proceed with the show. What methods does Ho Chi Minh use in his rise to power?
Well, so Ho Chi Minh organized a group of Vietnamese living in North Vietnam, and in 1919 he addressed the 8-point petition to representatives of the great powers at the Versailles Peace Conference.
I want equal rights to all my subjects in Indochina.
No.
No, why? Why?
Je pense que c'est. So as a result, he was seen to be heroic in the eyes of the Vietnamese who have stood up to them.
Ho Chi Minh, 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 Ho Chi Minh.
Thank you everybody.
So at the time, Vietnam was a French colony, and anyone who deemed to be a threat to the French would be persecuted. So Ho Chi Minh planned this return during the time where the French had been already defeated by Germany to make his rise to power a lot easier than it should have been.
So Mr. Yan, based on your research, is it true that the Japanese attacked Vietnam and executed all French officials?
Yes, that is true.
I am the Japanese. The French has invaded Vietnam. We are gonna kick them out. Die!
So Japanese attacked Vietnam and executed all the French officials, and so when this happened, Ho saw this as an excellent opportunity to take power because the Japanese were already weakened by the atomic bombing. So he seemed to have liberated Vietnam, but really it was because of the support from the US and the defeat of Japan. Ho Chi Minh also used propaganda to create a public image of himself, being the leader of the Vietnamese family. So this perspective that he created, he was known as Uncle Ho.
Yes, and also there's a famous quote by Ho Chi Minh, which is, "Nothing is as dear to the heart of the Vietnamese as independence and liberation."
Yes, that is from his famous speech that he used to get into power. So he stood for the essential unity of the entire divided Vietnamese family. So he portrays himself as a defender of the rest of the Vietnamese. So his ideologies were more appealing because he led a communist party in an agriculture-station society. So this meant that a lot of households during the time based their incomes off of agriculture. So therefore, there was a lot more farmers who wanted equality. So during his rise to power, he fought and won against seemingly impossible enemies. He found favor in the North Vietnamese because of his seemingly powerful rule and the communist ideologies.
All men are created equal. They are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This immortal statement was made in the Declaration of Independence of the United States of America in 1776. In a broader sense, this means all the people on earth are equal from birth, and all the people have a right to live happy and be free. The Declaration of the French Revolution, made in 1791, on the rights of man and the citizen also states, "All men are born free, with equal rights, and must remain free and have equal rights." These are undeniable truths. Nevertheless, for more than 80 years, the French imperialists, abusing the standard of liberty, equality, and fraternity, have violated our fatherland and oppressed our fellow citizens. They have acted contrary to the ideals of humanity and justice. In the field of politics, they have deprived our people of every democratic liberty. They have enforced inhumane laws. They have set up 3 distinct political regimes in the north, the center, and the south of Vietnam in order to wreck our national unity and prevent our people from being united. They have built more prisons than schools. They have mercilessly slain our patriots. They have drowned our uprisings in rivers of blood. They have fettered public opinion. They have practiced obscurantism against our people. To weaken our race, they have forced us to use opium and alcohol. In the field of economics, they have fleeced us to the backbone, impoverished us, our people, and devastated our land. They have robbed us of our rice fields, our mines, our forests, and our raw materials. They have monopolized the issuing of banknotes and the export trade. They have invented numerous unjustifiable taxes and reduced our people, especially our peasantry, to a state of extreme poverty. Prospering of our national bourgeoisie, they have mercilessly exploited our workers. The whole Vietnamese people, animated by a common purpose, are determined to fight to the bitter end against any attempt by the French colonialists to reconquer their territory. We are convinced that the Allied nations, which are Tehran and San Francisco, have acknowledged the principles of self-determination and equality of nations, will not refuse to acknowledge the independence of Vietnam. A people who have courageously opposed French domination for more than 80 years. A people who have fought side by side with the Allies against the fascists during these last years. Such a people must be free and independent. For these reasons, we, members of the Provisional Government of the Democratic Republic of Vietnam, solemnly declare to the world that Vietnam has the right to be a free and independent country. And in fact, it is so already. The entire Vietnamese people are determined to mobilize all their physical and mental strength to sacrifice their lives and property in order to safeguard their independence and liberty.
Thank you, Mr. Yang, for coming to talk about Ho Chi Minh.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Now we welcome Samuel, which his last name I cannot pronounce because it's not Chinese. So welcome, historian Samuel.
Thanks for inviting me.
He is here to talk about the economic policies of Ho Chi Minh.
The economic policies of North Vietnam, where Ho Chi Minh ruled, started off prioritizing heavily an industry, but as American bombing runs destroyed rails, roads, petrol power stations, and factories. Save me! Oh no! Resources had to be put into repairs rather than growing industrialization. This made the economic policy of North Vietnam focus more on agriculture than light industry.
Ho Chi Minh read books created by Karl Marx. Karl Marx created the labor theory of value, where the value of a commodity is the amount of labor's time spent in it. This states that capitalists do not give enough to the labor workers, and the communists believe that the workers should have more rights. This theory states that surplus value is actual paid to labor, and that surplus labor is unpaid extra labor that workers do. The labor theory of value states that capitalists exploit the surplus value and the surplus labor by not giving enough to the laborers so that the business owners may profit.
Thank you, Mr. Sam K, for being here with us and informing us about Ho Chi Minh's economic policies.
Hello, welcome back to History 101. Our last host could not make it because of a midlife crisis, so I will be replacing him for the moment and introducing Jack Xu, a historian on Ho Chi Minh. So Jack Xu, how did Ho Chi Minh maintain power after his reign?
Well, Ho Chi Minh deceived everyone in Vietnam. It seemed like he brought communism to Vietnam, kicked out the French, and liberated the country. However, he used methods of deception to maintain his power. He stated that his only goal was to lead Vietnam to become a free and prosperous country. However, looking back at it from a later date, the outcome of his actions were horrifying. He named his country the Democratic Republic of Vietnam. This gave the impression of a democratic society to all his people. However, his regime was far from democratic. Some examples of undemocratic actions were in 1945. when the Viet Minh started to kill off the other political parties. They banned rival parties and imprisoned over 2,500 non-communist members and forced 6,000 to flee.
Get out, you non-communist scum!
This resulted in Ho Chi Minh having no political rivals and giving him power over all of North Vietnam. He labeled his forces the protectors of Vietnam, attacking the South on the pretext of liberating our southern brothers from the Americans.
For North Vietnam, screw you, America!
This made appealing to many and made them support Ho Chi Minh's actions. He also used the name Labor Party, which appealed to the working population. Through these methods, he gained support of the general public. However, the National Liberation Front was under Ho's command the whole time and was not an entity of the war. He incited the patriotism of his soldiers, tricking them into thinking what they did was for the best of Vietnam. These soldiers did horrible things to the civilians both in the north and the south. One example is the Hue Massacre, where the soldiers captured and killed thousands of civilians just because they lived in the south.
Ho Chi Minh used propaganda to spread and convince people of his views.
Look at all the great powers. They're all communists. And they're all so successful, right? If we are communists too, we'll also be successful. Let's make communism great again.
He had teams of actors who went from town to town acting out historical events. However, these plays were altered to reflect on the goods of communism and to legitimize the invasions of the South. These plays gave inaccurate information to the people of Vietnam and controlled how they think. Also, the propaganda teams were used to appeal the views of communism to many people. In one occasion, there was a poster of some communists offering help to a farmer and talking to the farmer in a polite manner. This shows the goals of the communists, which are fighting and helping the labor workers. Ho Chi Minh used the entrance of Americans in the South to trash the South, calling them tools of foreign imperialism. This created anger and hatred towards the South and its soldiers, motivating them to act. However, many historians such as John Derbyshire states that Ho Chi Minh was never a total dictator, unlike Mao, Stalin, and Castro. Vietnamese people did suffer greatly, but it's argued that it was more on a mild side. Other than a communist, Ho can be seen as a nationalist, as he wanted to bring the North and South Vietnam together.
Now we have another special guest, historian Cletus. Welcome. Okay, so Mr. Cletus, what are you wearing?
Look at you!
Oh wait, this show is sponsored by the Toronto Raptors, okay?
Yeah.
Game tonight at 7, don't miss it. Okay, Mr. Cletus, I've heard you have been studying how Hitler compares to Ho Chi Minh. Can you talk about that?
Yes, Hitler and Ho Chi Minh have many similar points. First, they both killed groups that threatened their government. For Hitler, he used the SA to terrorize and destroy opposing political parties before the 1933 Weimar elections. He also used the SS to kill and remove groups that opposed the Nazi Party during the Night of Long Knives on June 30th, 1934. In Ho Chi Minh's case, the Viet Minh killed members of rival groups in 1945 after his election. Another similarity is that Ho Chi Minh and Hitler both created a law that banned the creation of new parties after their elections. Hitler created the law against the creation of new parties after he created the Enabling Act in 1933. Ho Chi Minh made the Democratic Republic of Vietnam a one-party state after his election in 1945. Like Hitler, they both went against the government. Hitler led the Beerholt Putsch in an attempt to take over the Bavarian government in 1923, which failed. However, Ho Chi Minh led two uprisings against his government. First, he led a Viet Minh independence movement from 1941 to 1945. Using guerrilla warfare, he successfully created North Vietnam in 1945. Then he started another uprising, this time to liberate the country from French colonists, from December 19, 1946 to May 7, 1954. The Viet Minh ended the war with the Battle of Dien Bien Phu, which led to the crushing defeat of French forces that caused the complete withdrawal of French colonists from Vietnam. Another similarity Hitler had with Ho Chi Minh is that they both helped create their own parties. Hitler was essential to recreating the German Workers' Party, while Ho Chi Minh created the Indochinese Communist Party, which was his own party.
That sounds very interesting. Now, I've heard that Ho Chi Minh and Hitler both wrote a book in prison. Can you talk a little about that?
Yes, that is very correct. Hitler wrote Mein Kampf, which was a book describing his political agenda, mainly anti-Semitism, anti-democracy, anti-communism, and pro-Aryanism. Ho Chi Minh wrote Prison Diary, which is a collection of poems that he wrote during his imprisonment by the Chinese government. The book describes Ho Chi Minh's political agenda, mainly freedom from French colonists and anger toward Japanese invaders.
Okay, that was very informative, Mr. Cletus. Now go on. You see here, this is a coupon to Sears. Now get some new clothes. Go on. Now we have another special guest, historian Chris Ng. Welcome.
Hello. Hope you don't mind I wear my jacket. It's very cold in here.
How many polar bears do you kill for that jacket?
Many. I'm a bit thirsty. Hope you don't mind if I just pull this out.
What are you doing? This is a show here.
Oh yes, I'm sure it is.
So other than being here for his sexy hot voice,
Oh yeah.
Mr. Chris Ng will be talking about Ho Chi Minh's foreign policy.
Minh wanted national independence, socialism, peace, self-reliance, and cooperation among countries. He wanted to develop foreign relations, which are characterized by openness. So countries would talk to each other about whatever they had and be open with one another and be a nice strong relationship. He wanted proactive integration into international relations, responsible contributive member, and reliable trading partner. He wanted to promote state-to-state relations with partners, party-to-party relations in the communist parties, and people-to-people relations to strengthen bonds between the people and international community. He now has 178 diplomatic relations, 224 economic relations with other countries. He believes in strong relations with neighboring and regional countries, especially with China, who is a top trading partner and is also communist with them.
Let's say China. 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 I have to have my China.
And he resolves international problems such as border issues via peaceful communication instead of war.
Yes, Mr. Chris Ng, that was very entertaining.
Indeed.
Don't talk while I'm talking.
I will.
Get out of my show right now, you polar bear killer. Glass out! Hey, that's everything for today's show, everyone.
But wait, there was one more.
Hey!
I am the ghost of Ho Chi Minh. And now I shall tell you about the conditions of the state before and during my rise to power. Before my rise to power, Vietnam was in a state of war, the Vietnam War from 1940 to 1946. The creation of Viet Minh, an organization I created to help lead the struggle of the Vietnamese independence from the French rule in 1941. We are the Vietnam. We don't like the French. We don't like the French. No!
Was taken by the Japanese from the French in 1945. During World War II, Japanese troops were placed in Vietnam to reduce the French influence. In 1940, the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Vietnam, led by me, in 1941. After the bombing in Pearl Harbor, invasion throughout Southeast Asia, Japan has stationed 50,000 men in Vietnam. President Roosevelt said that Indochina should not go back to France in 1944. My political party, Viet Minh, took charge of the government in the city and entire northern Vietnam.
Look at me. I am the leader now. Get out. No.
The state, during my rise to power, I attempted to make it a Soviet-style land reform, where the empire was built on the blood of the countrymen. Any protesters were murdered. I used communism to plan an independent Vietnamese state separate from the French. In September 1945, I announced the creation of the Democratic Republic of Vietnam. However, France wanted to re-establish control over Vietnam. France refused to recognize my republic, and we both quickly engaged in fighting in 1946. Despite our experiences learned during World War II, the Viet Minh found the fighting hard, as the French were better equipped and the supplies that had come from both the USSR and USA had been quickly used. The Viet Minh were also helped by Mao Zedong's Communist Party, as they were victorious in China. My highest ranked commander trained his soldiers in the safety of China before they crossed into Vietnam to engage the French.
Seven, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Ching, go first. Chang, you're next. Attack. Chong, you're next. Attack. You're so fat. Ugh. For that, drop and give me 40. Now.
And 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87. You there, what the hell are you doing? I want you to listen very carefully, soldier. I have a very particular set of skills. Skills that make me a nightmare to people like you. If you do not do those squats properly, I will find you. And will kill you.
Sir, can't stop now. No, for that, that's another 20 more. Let's go.
Also, wounded Viet Minh soldiers could also be better treated in China, as their conditions there were a lot better. Afterwards, I was accepted leader of the Viet Minh, and when the French suggested terms to end the fighting, it was I who persuaded the other leaders in the Viet Minh that the French could not be trusted. The Battle of Dien Bien Phu in 1954 led to France pulling out of Vietnam and I becoming the sole dictator of North Vietnam.
In 1956, the strong anti-communist South Vietnamese government of No Dien Diem refused to support the Geneva Accords. This put off the election indefinitely. In 1959, armed conflict broke out, as communist guerrillas known as the Viet Cong began launching attacks on targets in South Vietnam. The Viet Cong asked North Vietnam for help. In that July, the Committee of Workers' Party voted to link the establishment of socialism in the North to the cause of unification with the South. The U.S. continued to increase its support of South Vietnam as they sent in economic aid and military troops starting in December 1961.
American airstrikes against North Vietnam began in 1965. In July 1966, Ho sent a message to his people, which is, "Nothing is as dear to the heart of the North Vietnamese as independence and liberation." This later became the motto for North Vietnam. In early 1968, U.S. President Lyndon Johnson made the decision to stop the escalation of the war and called for peace talks. When Ho Chi Minh died in Hanoi at an age of 79 in 1969, the conflict between North Vietnam and the Americans were still ongoing. The last U.S. troop left Vietnam in March 1973, and in April 1975, Communist forces seized control of Saigon and renamed it Ho Chi Minh City in honor of their fallen leader.
Welcome to the special part of today's episode where we invite our historians back for a game show. Well, the prize is probably not money because we're out of money, and as you see, we sold the table to make this show. Now here, as you see, we have historian Samuel K. Cletus Su and Mr. Felix Yang. So how this game will work is that I'll ask you a question on Ho Chi Minh, and the first to clap will answer. Now, first question. Is it true that the Japanese forces were placed in Vietnam during World War II? Are you guys gonna clap? Anyone? Are you guys all that stupid to not know the answer to that question? You know what?
What was the question again?
Is it true that Japanese forces were placed in Vietnam in World War II? Okay, take 3. True or false?
True.
Good job. In which country was Ho Chi Minh imprisoned?
Australia?
No.
Does anyone know the question?
China.
I mean,
China.
China.
Question 3. What book did Ho Chi Minh write in prison, and why did he write it?
Okay, so according to Bruce Franklin, he wrote his book because it was used to condemn the problems in Vietnam at the time.
Oh, very good, very good. The stupid guy's smart for once. Okay, next question. What did Ho Chi Minh name his country, and why did he do it?
oh, I got this one. It's the Communist Republic of Vietnam.
Who's next?
Is it the Democratic Republic of Vietnam?
Yes, very good, very good.
Is it because of trying to make it look like a democratic to the Vietnamese people, so then it looks better rather than communist?
Yes, you're very correct. Okay, next question. What was his work before he moved to France?
Rice farmer.
No.
Oh.
French cook peeling them potatoes on a steamer.
Yes. Okay, next question. Name some similarities between Ho Chi Minh and Hitler.
They're both Asians.
I don't think Hitler is an Asian. Okay, who's next?
Good job.
Felix, what's your answer?
Oh, I was just clapping for Samuel.
Don't clap.
Oh.
They both started their own parties, and they killed members that threatened their government.
So, next question. What did the American bombings destroy in Vietnam?
The Pentagon?
No!
Factories?
Good job. Okay, next question. What was North Vietnam's motto when Ho Chi Minh was in power?
Only live once, that's the motto.
Nothing is as dear to the Vietnamese as liberation and independence.
No! Whoa, actually... Wow, you're correct for once. Good job.
Thank you, Jackie.
Okay, next question. What did Ho Chi Minh attempt to do when the French military gained control of South Vietnam?
He surrendered.
I think you are very incorrect. Next.
No. According to historian Gareth Porter, Ho Chi Minh tried to keep the peace, but it failed and war broke out.
Why am I here? There's not gonna be a prize anyways. Might as well just go to the beach. Peace out, everybody.
I'm sorry, everyone. I guess we're gonna have a short intermission. Remember, this show is sponsored by Uncle Ho's Fresh Asian Food.
Listen up, come to Uncle Ho's Asian Food. Fresh Asian food 24/7. Welcome to the Uncle Ho Fresh Asian Food, where we have fried rice, chow mein, and kung pao chicken. Come eat here today. We are very cheap, very good.
Welcome to Uncle Ho's Vietnamese fried chicken. Our chicken is raised in the farmer's backyard. Very natural, very fresh, very delicious. It is made out of 17 spices, also from the farmer's backyard. Come eat with us today. We are very cheap, very good. Our chicken may give you diabetes.
Now, welcome back to the show. And now, since Mr. Felix Yang has left, we have another special guest, the ghost of Ho Chi Minh. Now, for the next question, what is the name of Ho Chi Minh's military force in the south? Yes?
My servants,
What is the name of your group of servants?
Ching, Chang, and Chong.
Yes? Again?
The National Liberation Front.
Yes, very good. Okay, next question. What was Vietnam's top trading partner when Ho Chi Minh was in power?
China.
Okay, next question. What event did Ho Chi Minh use to trash South Vietnam?
They're always trash.
Mr. Ho, I think my question was which event?
All since the beginning of time.
Close enough, but not exactly it. So, anyone else? In early 1968, what did US President Lyndon Johnson decide to do with the Vietnam War?
He tried to stop the escalation of the war and called for peace talks.
Yes, you're correct. Okay, next question. This should be pretty easy. Who was Ho Chi Minh?
A math teacher.
No.
A restaurant owner.
You guys. Mr. Ho Chi Minh, you want to answer that yourself?
Oh, man, flashbacks.
Oh my god. Why did I even do this? Okay, guys, we're back. They decided to pay me like $10 an hour. I guess I'm fine with that. Let's proceed with the show. Okay, next question. What is one famous example of where Ho Chi Minh killed thousands of people?
Holocaust.
That's Hitler. Yes, Mr. Ho Chi Minh.
The Hue Massacre.
Wow, you are very smart. You know your life very
Yes,
well.
I know that already.
Okay, next question. This should be also an easy one. What was Ho Chi Minh's nickname?
Supreme Leader of the World.
You can't even conquer one country. You conquer like half a country.
When you try your best but you don't succeed.
Next. Yes?
Uncle Ho.
Good job. Very smart. Okay, next question. What did Ho Chi Minh want during the Versailles Peace Conference? Yes?
According to historian David Halberstam, I wanted all my citizens to have equal rights among Indochina.
Okay, last question. In what way did America support South Vietnam during the Vietnam War?
For North Vietnam!
No! No. Yes?
According to Louis Sorley, the U.S. sent economic support and also troops and airstrikes to aid South Vietnam conquer North Vietnam.
Yes, you're correct. Now, thank you for watching today's show, and thank you to all our special guests for participating. And now, here are the prizes. Giant chopsticks. Wait, where's the other guy? Okay, whatever. Here you go. Here you go.
Thank you.
And here you go, cameraman. You did a good job.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. And now we're officially out of money, so goodbye. And that's all for today. Thank you for tuning in to History 101, and we will probably not be back next week because we have no money to produce another episode. Now today we'll be talking about Vietnamese Today we'll be talking about Vietnam's dictator. I don't even know what I'm saying. Today we'll be talking about Vietnam's dictator Ho Chi Minh. Now I have a special guest, historian Felix Yang. Holy.
Just go, Jesus.
Okay, so Mr. Cletus, I cannot tell if your shirt. Oh wait, I won't say like I can't tell if you're trying to be a guy from Antarctica or China.
Can you practice what you're saying?
So sad.
Now we have another special guest, historian Chris Singh. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello, is it me you're looking for?
Three, two, Jackie, get on the scene!
Ready?
Guten Tag, mein Herr.
And now I've heard. We'll say.
Also successful. We are communists too.
Choose your destiny. Flawless victory. Victory.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because.
Oh, you touch my tra-la-la. My ding-ding-dong.
Can you climb it?
Low XD.
It's easy. If anything,
Yeah, but not for him.
The creation of Viet Minh, an organization I created to help lead the struggle of the derp.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.